The coronavirus has exposed this country's dangerous reliance on China for basic things like drugs, medicines that China is already warning it could deny us if they feel like it, leading to the deaths of Americans. What do we do to break the dependency on our chief rival? Well, Senator Josh Hawley has thought a lot about this question. We're happy to have him on tonight. Senator, thanks so much for coming on. So as you just heard Melissa Francis say, and it's clearly true, this is awakening a lot of us to this really perilous position we put ourselves in. How do we fix it?
Well, one of the first things we have to do, Tucker, is we've got to give the FDA the authority to figure out where we have drug shortages. Right now, we have potential antibiotic shortages with 150 commonly prescribed antibiotics because they're made in China. We also have, of course, surgical mask shortages because they're made in China. So we need to pass new legislation immediately that will give the FDA the authority to figure out what components are made in China and then new authorities to speed the development of replacements. We need to loosen up the restrictions on getting replacements for pharmaceuticals and pharmaceutical devices.
Let me just ask a dumb question. Who could possibly be against that? Would anyone be against that?
I don't think that there's any reason to be opposed to it, and there's no reason for Congress not to take it up immediately. I had hoped that Congress would take this up last week when we passed the emergency funding, but it's absolutely vital that we do it now. And one other thing, Tucker, as to those surgical mask shortages, you know, we have companies in this country that make masks. The problem is that under existing law, those masks, the American ones, can't be used by health professionals. We need to change that immediately. I've introduced legislation to do that. The White House has endorsed it. The White House is begging Congress to pass that. I hope we'll do it immediately.
So for decades after the Second World War, this country maintained a helium reserve, a mohair subsidy, because mohair was strategically important. We have a strategic petroleum reserve. Why shouldn't the U.S. government make certain that we have stockpiles of the most basic life-saving drugs like antibiotics?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely vital that we do. And I think, frankly, we have been caught off guard because so much of our supply chain has been shipped overseas. And I think it's been difficult for our health professionals and planners to imagine a situation where much of the supply chain gets taken offline, as has happened in China. So this is a huge, huge wake-up call that something needs to change. And by the way, that includes equipment, things like respirators in hospitals, many of which have not been replaced in over a decade. So we've got a lot of work to do right now. We need to take these emergency steps to make products made in this country available to health professionals ASAP.
How far are we from that?
Well, the mask thing, for instance, the change in that law could be done immediately. There's a bill on the House. There's a companion bill, which I've introduced along with Senator Fisher and others in the Senate. That could be voted on tomorrow if we could get an agreement. So that needs to be done immediately. Again, the White House has asked for this authority. It's something the president cannot do by executive order. Congress has to pass it. So this action needs to be taken immediately. And then in the medium term, we've got to work on bringing these supply chains back to the United States.
Amen. Senator Hawley, thanks a lot for coming on tonight. Good to see you.
Thank you.